Hey guys, it's Jessica here. So I actually joined on time and I've been talking and was wondering why no one was here and I hadn't gone live. So I went live on my phone today and for some reason I don't know how to work StreamYard from my phone. So hopefully some folks join me, but if not, at least the video is recording for the playback. It's just like, duh. So anyway, I did not see the little go live button. I just came in here and thought I was live. So I'm going to kind of talk about this study, try not to spend too much time on here, but there was an article that I saw that was put out by McKinsey and Company. And so they have been doing a lot of research. It's pretty much what they do. They study the workforce and provide data to different companies, and that's, I believe, how they make their money. But the whole pandemic has caused more of a shift that has been happening, but more so people leaving the workforce. So primarily women leaving the workforce, especially in corporate America. So there's a few challenges that were highlighted, and it really comes down to the working mothers, the senior level women, and also Black women. So I'm going to talk through some of the points that were highlighted here and some of the concerns that I have as well, just looking ahead to the future. Like, what does this mean? Like, why are the women leaving the workforce? And what does this mean post 2021? What can the impact be? Hey, Edward. Hey, Latanya. So, guys, I just said this a few minutes ago, but I was talking on here and was not even live. So a big duh moment for me to start off the day, but hey, whatever. I'm going with this. Okay, cool. Enjoy your dinner, Latanya, and welcome, Edward. So, what are the challenges for the women? Why are people leaving? We'll get into it. So, first thing is a lot of the women I found are leaving voluntarily. There is some involuntarily or involuntary movement, like with layoffs and things happening. But a lot of what was in the study, and from what I was seeing on like CNBC and things online, other reports, is that a lot of it is, just happening because, hey, women are dealing with some challenges. So, so one study says that 4 times more women than men left the workforce, and this is this year. Also, 1 in 4 are considering leaving the workforce completely, or they're going to downgrade their career. So, what does downgrade their career mean? Well, maybe they're going to work part time, or maybe they're going to move from a VP level to a lower level position where they have a little more flexibility, where they don't feel like they're always having to be on 24/7. And then the other part of that is that more companies are looking for contract workers. So maybe women are going to move into contract roles where they can say, hey, I only want to work 30 hours a week so I can deal with some challenges that I'm dealing with at home. So that's what we're looking at here. So what are the reasons that women said they are done? They're leaving. So one reason is that they just didn't want to put their family at risk. They didn't want to go out into the world. They worked in jobs like nursing. That's a highly female-dominated field. And they just did not want to bear the possibility of bringing something back to their home. The other part, taking care of the kids. Who's going to take care of these kids running around the house? They're doing virtual learning. Who's going to take care of them? Well, women typically bear the brunt of that. So a lot of women have decided to leave. Safety for themselves. So me, I'm Jessica. I don't want to risk my life. I don't want to risk my life. So I'm just going to say deuces. And then the other thing is just the stress from the pandemic itself. Dealing with anxiety that they don't need. So a lot of women have said like, hey, I'm not doing it. Now, when you look at the senior level women, they're feeling burnout. They're just done. They don't feel like they want to be working 24/7 all the time. So they're just done with that. And hey, Simply Pandy, welcome. Yeah, Edward. Yeah. I mean, I understand it. I get it. So, walking through the challenges here. So, the working mothers. All right. So, this article is saying that you can't get the daycare, no school, right? So, mothers are juggling work with daycare, virtual schooling, household chores. They're taking on more of the responsibilities than men. And so 40% of mothers spend at least 3 hours a day more than they did pre COVID times. And they're trying to meet those household responsibilities, trying to keep up with that. And they're bearing like the full weight of those additional responsibilities because only 27% of fathers said they spend at least 3 hours a day. So 40% versus 27%. So we're definitely seeing that dynamic. Now, mothers are twice as likely as fathers to work or to worry that their caregiving responsibilities will result in negative judgment of their work performance. Definitely have seen that. One third of mothers are thinking about leaving the workforce or downshifting their careers. So that's that piece in the article that talks about that. And then when we get to senior level women, so it doesn't define what senior level is. I would just think it's like VP level and above. And so what they're seeing is that even before the pandemic, women in senior level jobs tended to feel a need to work harder and longer than their male colleagues. And I see this, I'm not even at like necessarily, this high level. Like I'm not a VP manager. So I've even felt it. I feel like you literally have to be on call, on via email and everything else 24/7. It's not that anyone's told me like, hey Jessica, you need to be online, 24/7, but it does feel like you're required to respond to things quicker. You're getting more emails, you're just getting more, and you're getting emails at all hours of the night. Now for me, I work at a global company, so it's like I can understand that because there are people in different countries reaching out to me. And for them, it's their working hours. But I think that's going to be important because companies need to set specific hours. They need to tell employees, especially right now, like, hey, you are required to work, from 8 to 5, p.m., or you don't have to respond to emails after this time, or we shouldn't email after this time, or whatever. I think that should be something that's set up that may help with that. Now, 47% of senior level women, so again, we're saying those are VP level, they consistently feel exhausted, and 1 in 4 are considering leaving the workforce. So let's get to Black women. What are Black women feeling? So this study saying 6 years of women in the workplace, research shows that maintaining a career is more difficult for Black women than others. I don't need a stat to tell me that, but it's nice to have the stats. I mean, I feel it. I'm in the workplace. I get it. They face systemic barriers to advancement, receive less support from managers, and experience more acute discrimination. They report a lack of strong allies at work and a greater quantity of microaggressions and are almost twice as likely as women in general to feel unable to bring their whole selves to work. I've always felt that way. I've never felt like I've been in an environment where I can be like, 100% myself. Now, here's the concern I have with the women leaving, especially at the senior level. So the senior level, VP level women. Okay. So anytime you have, changes within the company, let's say you have more women getting hired or more diverse people getting hired, typically the ones that are advocating and supporting that are going to be these senior level women that are now leaving the workplace. So my question is, what does this mean for women that are entering the workplace, or maybe women that are at the mid-level like me, and maybe they're aspiring to get to a VP position? Well, typically to get there for women, it's like you need advocates, right? So sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's doing a little something. But you need advocates, right? So who is going to advocate for me? So if I am aspiring to get to this level, maybe my advocate is left. And so even, with diversity, a lot of times it's the senior level women that are advocating for diversity. In every company I've worked at, when I look at D&I ambassadors and D&I teams, it's typically people of color that are typically expected to be a part of these groups, right? Which, I mean, for me has always been fine because it's a passion point of mine, but it's kind of like, oh, you can do it. You're Black, you can do it. You're a woman, you can do it. But the people that raise their hand are typically the senior level women. So as you see these folks leaving, I mean, well, who's going to advocate for the others? Now, this was a stat that was interesting too. So only 1 in 3 women of color, so I guess this includes Black women, maybe Hispanic women, I don't know. But 1 in 3 women of color heard from a manager to ask how they are doing during this pandemic. Now, Black women have been 3 times more likely to face death of a family member, someone that they're, closely tied to during this time. But yet, only 1 in 3 women of color heard from a manager just asking how they're doing. Now, I looked at the video that this article has, and one of the men on the panel basically was saying, well, we don't know, maybe these men don't know how to go about having that conversation. And I'm just like, this is a conversation managers should have with their team members, no matter who they are, men, female, or man, woman, diverse or whatever. It really doesn't matter, because you should care about how your team's doing. Like, what are they dealing with? And so that was just weird, because he said it in this way, like, we don't know how to go about the conversation. Well, how are you doing? I mean, I think we asked each other that question in general, just on a day-to-day basis. Just ask your team how they're doing. So I don't know. I did not love that. I think that some companies just did not know how to deal with this scenario, because you're dealing with issues of childcare. Well, are you going to provide childcare for the women? Are you going to provide resources? Mental health, people dealing with anxiety just because of the fact that we have this whole scenario of this virus going around. And how do you deal with that? Are you offering resources for mental health? Some companies are, other companies aren't. And then the other part of that is just, I guess, the dynamic of work, like making sure that we're setting specific standards and hours for work. So it's something else. I definitely hope that the trend does not continue. Now, I do have my own opinion of, women and working. I definitely think it is a choice, especially when you have kids. So if you are in, dual income, I think it makes sense for a mother to be at home if that's the best choice for them. But I also do see the impact that it could potentially have on a lot of different groups, because we're missing out on, women in the workplace. And I asked this question in the last live stream about, what makes women valuable? Are women valuable in the workplace? And there have been studies that show, that women often do bring a lot of different perspectives to the workplace, a better understanding of, like, for example, consumer trends, and, just the greater impact that decisions may have. A lot of times women do bring that. So there's definitely value to having women in the workplace. I do feel like with more women leaving, it makes it challenging to reach more, diversity in the workplace. So that's my biggest concern. So I'm done talking. I've actually been talking for a minute. Let me see who's in here. Hey, Simply Pandy, welcome. Let me see. Oh, okay. And we're saying hi to Simply Pandy. Kai Mashamba TV. Hello, I haven't seen you in here before. Welcome to the live stream. So those are just some things. I just don't know what this means. It seems like women have made some progress. I wonder if this might kind of push us back a little bit as far as people in the workplace, because when you don't have those advocates there, it makes it more challenging to progress. So even if we hire women, we can find women, well, are they going to still have the same progression and growth opportunities as they would have before when they had those advocates? Because, you're when you look at being promoted into a senior level role, typically you're going to have mentorship and training and advocates. Like, if you don't have that, it's going to be really challenging for you to actually move to the next step. So even for me, like, I noticed that when I first entered the workplace, I was one of those folks that was just focused on work. Like, I was just like, okay, let me do my job and I'm out of here. So I learned that you definitely need to make relationships and get advocates in the workplace. And so when you don't have that, it makes it challenging. For me, what has helped me a lot is having it's always actually been female, although I do have male mentors in my life. In the workplace, I've always had advocates that were women. So, like, if you don't have the women in the workplace, they're not advocating for you, who do you go to? Like, are men going to step up and start advocating more for women? I just don't see it, because it wasn't happening before. I do think some men can and have and will continue to do so, but it's more common for the women. And then even bring in that diversity aspect of, okay, well, now who are going to be our diversity champions? If the women are leaving, what's going to happen? Oh, hey, Murad. Hello, welcome. Hey, Theword Smith, welcome. So Theword Smith is saying tech jobs are horrible with women. So I'd love to hear more about that. Let me see. Women in tech often complain about males not supporting them or doubting their intelligence. Yes, and to my point, I think with the women leaving, because there's already, and I actually focus on tech recruitment. So yes, I 100% agree with you, Theword Smith. When it comes to tech, I actually have a couple of close friends that work in a technical space. One in particular, the biggest challenge that she's always talked to me about is just being heard. Like, the men, and this dynamic where if looking at the office and the tech team, 2 out of 10 are women. And that's on a really good year. So, for her, it was always, I can't even be heard. Like, I have these ideas. They just kind of gather together. They all go to lunch together. Feeling left out and unheard. So not even for her, not having advocates. And in this specific scenario, I'm talking about a woman that is in a place where there's mainly men working, but the CIO is a woman and a few of the managers are women, but her initial team, all men. So it's still a challenge even for her. And so, when you look at a scenario where you've got the women leaving, what does that mean, especially for women in the tech field? And I will say, it's actually been a focus of mine during this year to hire women in tech. And so a big challenge for me is just making sure I'm finding women that are very technical, that match a lot of the men's skill set. Is very hard to find sometimes. And then the other end, myself and other recruiters have found that women are just saying, we're reaching out to them with job opportunities, and they're just saying, no, I got to take care of the kids. I got to take care of my family. I'm taking a break. I'm done. So it's definitely a challenge right now to find them. Let me see here. Theword Smith is saying men overpower women at work. And as a woman, if you speak up, they peg you as the crazy lady. Oh yeah, or if you're a Black woman, maybe it's angry Black woman. It can be tough, but it does get easier when you have an advocate. Like, for me, I'm able to speak up, for someone, if it easier if I know that I have someone backing me up. So it's like, are men going to, or are men that are in management positions, are they going to step up and support and advocate for the women on their team? I think that's a really big call to action. I think it should be done. I just I have my own doubts that it won't happen. And I'm just speaking from history, not that I want that to be the case, but for myself, I've never, and I don't work in the tech arena. I'm a recruiter, so my space is even women, dominated. But with a management level, it's typically male managers. And sorry, there's background noise because people like to ride motorcycles where I am. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know what it will be next year. Let me see. Hey, Merry Christmas, Sheldon. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you had a nice holiday. Sheldon, this is a professional channel, sir. Let's see here. We need to encourage our daughters, sisters, etc., to go into the STEM field. I agree with that. I agree. I think in the long run, it it can be really helpful, and I think it has to start with not only at home encouraging, but also providing in the classroom. Letting little girls see this as a possibility, and really, I guess, advocating for them and offering resources and making it more normal, I guess. But yeah, I 100% agree with you, King Akil. Definitely need to focus on that more. It's really sad that we are in this dynamic in this 2020, about to be 2021, and we're still having the case where women are not getting hurt in the workplace. And so I was saying earlier, what is the value to women in the workplace? Like, if women are really valued, like all these companies are saying, well, then their voices will be heard, and they will have advocates and things they need to advance in the workplace too. So even with getting the women into STEM and into these technical sectors, and engineering and science, all these different job sectors, how do we actually get them to a point where they can progress? Because that's another challenge of, okay, yeah, we're hiring women, we hire them, but then how are you able to retain them, which is what we're looking at right now, like the women leaving. And then also, how are you able to keep them, engaged and motivated, and, how are you able to progress them? It shouldn't just be about, we hired X amount of women this year, we have this percentage of women on our team. It should be more so making the environment friendly to women as well. So do women feel included? Do women feel like they can offer their opinion? Can they, step up and say something against the norm? Will they be, or will they be excluded by men, to the example I made earlier with my close friend, who feels completely excluded, and she's a developer, in a senior position, and yeah, she just feels excluded, doesn't feel like the men are hearing her, and it's really tough. It's been really tough for her, and especially, and it comes down to the industry too. Not every industry is the same. I definitely think certain industries are tougher. Let me see. Yeah, definitely, King Akil. Offering resources, very important to expose them early. Yes, exactly. Yeah, offer those resources. And I think too, just the knowledge. Like, I don't even feel like there's enough focus on just having kids explore different things they can do. I feel like, we just kind of see the same old type of jobs. Like, oh, you're a girl, you could be a nurse, or oh, you're a guy, you could be a firefighter, or whatever. It's like, why don't you open them up to even more jobs, like jobs that aren't, typically the mainstream type of jobs. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, King Akil. Theword Smith. Let's see. Women are expected to look nice, but when they do put on makeup and keep their hair nice, usually straight, the prettier women get hit on all the time, like Sheldon just did to you. Right. No, I actually talked about this in another live stream. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, but yes, that is a challenge. So we talked about the fact that, you you can get the opportunity for being attractive as a woman, but then you can also not get an opportunity because you're seen as too attractive. So if you're too attractive, well, the whole stereotype of you're not as capable or you're stupid, you know? Um, it's really sad. It's tough. And then are you even heard? So yeah, you're pretty, but I don't hear anything that you're saying. You don't have a valid point. Just sit over there and look pretty. Be our receptionist. Just sit there and look pretty. Now, there is like a thing called, pretty privilege in the workplace. So, more attractive people, I won't even say women, more attractive people in general, get better opportunities, more advancement typically. Like you see, and I said this in that video, CEOs are typically taller. So if you look across, senior leadership, focus on CEOs, they're typically going to be taller men and, relatively attractive in most cases. And also not overweight, not like obese or anything. They're typically thinner, fit. And then when you look at the women, though, when you start looking at senior leadership, it goes across the board. It's not so much as being pretty, but when you enter the job market, those first job opportunities, a lot of the time, the more attractive you are as a woman, the more opportunities you will gain, more job offers, for example, and then also the more progression that you're going to be able to see. So I do think that is an important aspect. So thank you for bringing that up, Theword Smith. I don't know if you've been in my chats before, but welcome. Nice to see you. If you're not already subscribed to me, definitely subscribe. I do these type of chats on a weekly basis. I'm going to try not to make this one too long, but because I've already been a little talked out because I talked to myself because I thought I was live and I wasn't. So I did that earlier. So overall here, I mean, we're basically looking at the main challenges here. So taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, being safe, keeping the family safe, managing anxiety, living up to the different business hours that we're dealing with now. And then, some different stats of like just with Black women in particular and what they're dealing with. So it's a struggle. Let me see here at this article, see if there was anything else I needed. So this article also talked about the whole intervention, like what's the intervention? How do we keep women from continuing to leave the workplace? I think a lot of it I've already discussed, establishing those boundaries at work, like what are the business hours? When am I expected to be working at home? So this is for the folks that are virtual. I think too, the other part of this, I don't know what the stats are, but the teachers that are out of work right now, I'm sure there are plenty of teachers, and I've seen teachers going on strike because they can't effectively work or they don't feel safe at work. I mean, I will tell you, if I were a teacher in the midst of this whole pandemic, I don't think I would have done it. Like being around a bunch of kids, we know how unsanitary kids are. If anything is to be spread, they're spreading it around. I just don't think I can see myself in a room full of kids. So with everyone saying like open up the classroom, I see the benefit and I see the negative for that. But if I were a teacher, again, another dominated field by women, I say like, hey, I'm done. I'm taking a break. I'll, try find a job next year. Maybe because that's a big safety issue. And then you think about the teachers that also have kids at home. Like, am I really going to bring that back home? Is it really worth it? And then the other part of this I didn't talk about was just the pay. So a lot of women, and let me see if I can see it in here. It wasn't this article, it was another one that I was looking at. I think it was the CNBC one. But they're feeling like, okay, the compensation I have, it's not enough. Is it worth it right now? And then they're also burnt out. They're feeling exhausted. They're working and having to work harder than the men. Is it really worth it right now? So you're also seeing that as a big concern for women. And I get it. If you're doing the same work, you're facing the same challenges as men. plus more if you're having to, also deal with the home life that we see again, typically men aren't dealing with. So it's is it really worth it? Young children are difficult to control and get to comply. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I can't even imagine like thinking about the kids and having to tell them keep on their mask and just the whole ordeal. I think if I even had kids, I don't think I would want them to be in the classroom with other kids right now. I think I would do the whole the approach that some families took where they would have their pods, and so there would be virtual learning within the community with the same kids, so we all kind of know where we've all been, and we're literally just interacting with each other in the community versus going outside the community, having your kids go outside the school. You don't really know what the other families are doing, and having more risk. So I kind of like that approach better. And then I think what the parents would do is they would split the cost of having a teacher or a virtual teacher or whatever, and then that's how they would manage their schooling. So that to me was a better that was a better scenario in my opinion. But everyone kind of has to look at it in their own way, and what's the impact. The people I feel the most for are the single women, because for single women, what is the option for you? You're the breadwinner for your home, and your kids are maybe virtual learning. Like, how do you really manage that if you're the single mom in the home? Like, there's no one else, so you have to manage the home by yourself. You are managing work and you're trying to manage the kid. Like, even thinking of the people that I work with, all of them have two people at home. So they have the mom and dad, and they're juggling between each other the responsibilities. And even still, it's hard to manage the kids. Like, I see kids popping up into different video meetings, or I hear them in the background screaming for their mom. So I definitely understand the dynamic. It's challenging, but how do you deal with that as a single mother? I literally cannot even imagine. I just don't. So, I don't know if this trend will really end. I feel like women were leaving a little before this too. I can't lie and say last year I haven't had women tell me like, "Hey, no, I'm staying at home now. I'm not entering the workforce," or I'm just looking for part-time jobs right now. It's been happening, especially when women start having kids. Some women just leave the workforce during that time period, when the kids are small, when the kids are young, and then once they're able to go to school, then they re-enter the workplace. Well, I do think now for the women that are saying like, no, I'm leaving, I'm going to take care of home. Well, when they re-enter, or I guess try to re-enter the workplace, is it going to be a bigger challenge for them too? I do wonder about that. So I think I'm kind of looking at it from a, okay, what does this all mean? Like, okay, the women are leaving, but what does this mean for us as a whole? What does it mean for women? What does it mean for people that are of a diverse background? What does it mean overall for companies and what they should do? Because, I mean, essentially, companies are going to be losing a big piece of their workforce, valuable workforce, and a lot of knowledge that they're, losing out on too. So, let me see here. So in 2018, women made up 48% of entry level employees, but only 38% of managers, 34% of senior managers of directors, and only 29% of the vice president level. So that's scary. So we already have those really low stats from 2018, and now we're looking at into 2021 with many of these women leaving the workforce. Yeah, I don't know I don't know what that is really going to mean. It's a little scary, little scary. But will the women re-enter the workforce in 2021? Like when we have a vaccine, when things are a little more normal, will they re-enter the workforce? I don't know. And then I think it was, let me see, Theword Smith that brought up the fact about the IT sector that's already not diverse. Like literally right now, I am working through a list of women in IT and I'm trying to engage with these women that work in IT. And it's like, some are just not working right now. Others are like, I'm good where I'm at. I'm not looking. And it is a challenge. So it's going to make it even more challenging for the companies that are saying, oh, we want to hire more women and we have all these different diversity goals for 2021. Well, Facebook, Google, whoever, you're going to have a harder time looking for these women because they're gone or they're not really trying to go anywhere else. And then there's this article that's basically talking about women in the workplace, why women make great leaders and what you can do to retain them, because of course that's a problem we're having right now. So let's see. More meaningful work is one. Less burnout, which is what we're dealing with right now. More organizational dedication, which I think that essentially comes down to, are you providing opportunities? Are you providing mentorship? And are you providing advocates for me as a woman, right? And then more job satisfaction as well. So coming down to just enjoyable work. So this is an article that was put out by Center for Creative Leadership, Women in the Workplace, Why Women Make Great Leaders and What You Can Do to Retain Them. I agree with all these points. I also think that something that this article doesn't get at, maybe because this was put out before COVID, but, making sure that there are resources. I mean, there's constantly this ask of women for daycare, like provide daycare, provide some resources for getting daycare, because I know those costs are really expensive. Even though I don't have kids, I know those costs are expensive. Crazy expensive. Like in some scenarios, women are like, I know a girl I used to work with. She was actually either like a designer. She did something creatively. But I worked with her for a short time, but her and her husband decided to leave. She had a little girl and, it was like, it's time for her to go home. It makes more sense for her to stay at home because, if you think about it, the cost for daycare, sometimes it's more than even what the woman is bringing in from work. So why does it make sense to essentially be losing money to have someone else take care of your children? Let me see here. Oh, North Vikings. Hello, North Vikings. Welcome. You're saying hello to everybody. King Akil says maybe losing women is what needs to happen so that their absence is felt. Oh, maybe they'll earn you the pay you want. That's an interesting point, King Akil. Yeah, you know what? I agree with you somewhat because here's my thought process, because I get what you're saying. I think where my challenge is going to be the re-entry into the workplace, because it's already challenging working as a woman in corporate America. And in other spaces too, like I know Edward Smart, he's in the security space. You have, jobs in manufacturing and, other areas that are very male dominated, more heavily male dominated. But I feel like, yes, that's a really good point. It could be, who knows? It may help. I think the challenge will be the re-entry into the workforce. Like it's already challenging with the women there, with guides. You have people that can guide you, to help you, that will oftentimes go out of their way to help you, to advocate for you. Okay, so let's say the women are leaving. So there's very little women in the workplace. It almost looks like years back where it was just strictly men working. So when you put in the dynamic of women coming back into the workplace, I feel like that will cause a lot of friction for not only the women, but also the men. I think it will be going through like training all over again and trying to help men understand, how to work with women again. And, just depending on how long it were to happen. So let's say all of 2021, we just kept continuing seeing women leave the workplace. I do think there will be a challenge, and the challenge would come from, the women actually coming back to the workforce. That would be wild. That would be completely wild. Let me see here. I don't think there was anything else that really stood out to me. Let me see. Oh, King Akil. Are there women unions? There are women's coalitions, I think, yes. I have never been a part of unions, and I will be honest with you. Luckily, I have not had to work in an environment where I was an HR manager and dealt with unions. That is not my strong suit. I have learned about them technically by the book, but I've never had to work with them. But I do believe there are like labor unions for women. I do think so. Good question. I mean, I don't know. I'm still, I think, struggling with your point earlier. I just don't know what it would mean for women. Especially speaking as someone that does not plan to leave the workforce in the next 5 years. I definitely see myself working in the next 5 years, whether that is, I would see myself in the corporate environment, definitely. But also, here's the other thought I just had. The article didn't talk to this, but how many women are leaving the corporate workspace to go do something on their own? And King Akil, you actually brought this up in another video. The fact that women should be entrepreneurs. Women should all be entrepreneurs, and that's what we should be aspiring to. I agree. I think, if the percentage of women entrepreneurs increases, I think that will be a good thing. And I think I would feel better about the number of women that are leaving the workplace right now. I do think that will make things better, because that's kind of the alternative. Like, if you're not 100% taking care of home, I guess, then you'd probably be doing something either part-time or full-time as a home-based business, where you're selling merchandise, I don't know, becoming a blogger or something that you can do from home. So that could very well be happening, and just something that these articles are not covering. Let me see if I can find anything on that. Because I will say that during these challenging times with depressions, recessions, I'll say recessions, that's where you get more entrepreneurs made. So more people do become, entrepreneurs, just probably out of necessity. You need to make money. So what do you do when no one's hiring? Well, you create your own job. So that could definitely, that could definitely be happening. Let me see if I can find anything on it, and then I'll look at this next comment. Question for you guys. How is the video playing for you? Because I am on my phone. Normally, I am on my computer, and my computer's acting crazy today. So I am on my phone. So let me know if this is, like, the picture quality looks fine. Do you like this background? It is all pink and glittery, I know. Normally I have a white background. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I like. I like the white background, but today I was just like, I had this thing up, and I just like, I'm going for it, whatever. So let me know what you think. Okay, this is an article. Okay, this article is titled "The Future is Female. COVID-19 Fuels a Surge in Women Entrepreneurs." I have to read through it, but yeah, I have so much reading to do, guys. Side comment, I had planned on reading not all, but at least a portion of the stimulus bill, and that has yet to be done. So I'm going to be doing that tonight. I'm not looking forward to it because I already know there's some just janky stuff in that bill. Let's see here. Oh, King Kills agreeing with me. I thought you would agree. Taking your points. I mean, you were a smart guy, my friend. Yes, women should create new STEM businesses. STEM field seems more like a level playing field. Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Um, I mean, yeah, the future is tech. So if more women are in STEM and they're creating, businesses, I think that's going to be the future. And that may be what this article is actually talking about. Okay, King of Kill. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. Edward Smart is saying on the laptop, visual is good, audio is good. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Simply Pandy. Oh, Pandy, you know what? I just saw your picture. Hey, Pandy. You say it's great. Love the background. Okay, thank you. I just realized that was you, Pandy. Hey. Zero the Infinite. Hello, welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. Okay, so what is this article talking about? Let me see here. Yeah, it's just so crazy. So pre-lockdown, the split between orders from male and female startups was much closer to 50-50. What? So there is a significant shift happening. So King Akil, more women are becoming entrepreneurs. It sounds like from this article. Now, I got to break down the article because, who knows? This is a blog from CFA Institute. Sounds credible, I suppose, but I gotta check it out. Let me see. Not all startups turn into unicorns or private companies worth more than $1 billion, but if men start up twice as many companies as women, which has historically been the case, even in 2019, 2020, then all else being equal, there will be twice as many male-founded unicorns as female-founded ones. Therefore, a post-pandemic surge in women-led startups is a leading indicator of the future. Let me see if I can find another article. I just feel like there aren't a lot of stats in here because this thing is saying, during the pandemic, I saw a need for independent financial advice, so I started a Zoom hotline providing it for free for women. This summer, I spoke with 35 women across the globe about money management issues. What was the number one topic of discussion? Nearly half of call participants wanted to talk about how to fund a new business. But I'm like, okay, those are women that are talking about starting a new business. Like, are they actually starting the new business? Because this is another thing that's an issue, is it's really hard for women to get funding for starting a new business. So, unless banks are just pushing out loans all of a sudden, like it is easier, interest rates are lower, so it's easier to get housing, but I don't know if it's also easier to get funding for a new business right now. So that's the other thought I would just have is, okay, well, yeah, a lot of people are talking about, I see plenty of people online talking about, hey, I want to start a new business, whatever, but what percentage of those people actually start a business? Just like people are saying, oh, I want a job, and then I tell them to start, like, get a LinkedIn profile, and they're like, no, I'm not doing that. Or I tell them, well, you need to redo your resume and make it this way. Oh, okay. Don't do it. People talk about a lot of things, I feel a certain way about that. You guys know me. I'm just like, I say what's on my mind most of the time. So, but that's just my thoughts. Let me see here. I do wonder if the government is providing more, well, I want to say this, like if the government is going to provide more money for women to start businesses, like through grants, but at the same time, we can't get a stimulus bill passed. So who knows? Who knows what's going on? Can't depend on them. Do not depend on them or you will be waiting. Yeah, I'm not really finding any stats out here when it comes to women entrepreneurs. And then I'm only focusing, I'm focused on the US. So I see an article, for example, can COVID-19 be the turning point for women entrepreneurs in India? Well, that's nice, but I'm trying to look for the US stats here. Let me see what folks are saying. Let's see, King Akil. I've heard that Black women tend to do well as entrepreneurs. So you're just saying this stuff to make me happy. No, I mean, I could see that because I feel like Black women typically perform well, even in corporate America, with the cards stacked up against us, right? So we don't have advocates. We are kind of dealing with microaggressions and just sometimes just all out racism. Well, if you take that away and let us just own our own thing, then I feel like it helps. And another thing, and I think this is why, because I know a few women entrepreneurs, and why I decided to do consulting on my own too, is that you don't have the constraints of a company telling you, you have to do it this way, or you have to do it that way, or you can only say this, or you can only say it like this, or you need to say it like this other person. I remember some feedback I got from a past manager that I worked with. She was a fine lady and everything, but I remember she told me that I needed to basically word what I was saying to what this senior leader, basically how she would say it. And I knew that throughout the department, people did not see this other woman as positive. So I'm thinking in my head, why in the world would I want to sound like this lady who's not even respected by her own team? Like her whole team just didn't see her as capable. And it's not like, oh, she's pretty, she's incapable, like stereotype. Like, no, she was incapable because they did not see her really doing her job. They did not see her as understanding the business. They did not see her as understanding the work that they actually did. So here I am sitting there like, what? You're telling me to talk like someone else that's not even respected in the company. So, as an entrepreneur, you're not dealing with a lot of that. Like, obviously, you're going to provide good client or customer service, but you can do that in a free format. You don't have to go, oh, I have to say it like this, or I can't say that, or I can't give you this information because we have these, policies in place. And you guys know I work in HR. A lot of the policies are there put in place to protect the company. So I understand the why that we have the policies, but it does sometimes impact how you can do your job. It's not meant to help you do your job better. It's a lot of times meant to protect the company. So handy, a little logged in on my other account. Oh, I see. Okay. I was wondering because with my phone, everything is smaller. So I just saw the name. And so I was like, who is this? And I did think of you, Pandy, but I was like, oh, this got to be someone else. I was like, someone else has her name or a similar name. Hi, Partly Cloudy. Welcome. Nice to see you. And yes, happy holidays. I hope you had a nice holiday. Hopefully everyone did in the chat. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Let me see here. Question, kind of off topic. You guys know off topic is okay. I get off topic myself when I'm doing these live chats. It's fine. One thing I hate about corporate America is the brown nosing. I just can't do it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and again, that's another reason why people are like, I'm out. I feel like there's a specific number of years where people might enjoy corporate America because they're getting the experience. Maybe they need 5 to 10 years of this solid experience. They get to move to different companies. They have that in their back pocket. They can say, like, I worked at this company, I worked at that company, I worked with this client. That's great. But then the long term goal, I think, should be for most people to eventually have their own consulting or business or something, because you do get burnout. You get tired of the corporate culture in a lot of cases. Now, not every culture is the same, but typically you're going to deal with the politics and, as you're saying here, King Akil, the brown nosing, and you have to, and there's levels to it too. Like, I mean, you definitely seen those people where they're constantly following the manager around, constantly complimenting on every single little thing. They're raising their hand for every single little thing. They are just fake smiling the 100% of the time. Like, come on, you are not 100% happy every single second of the day on every single thing. Like those, just that fake personality of, they're doing it and why. And the manager knows why they're doing it and why. Yes, it can be a lot. Hey, Peter Dell, welcome. Nice to see you. But yeah, King of Cole, I mean, in general, it just gets to be a lot. So, and to the point of the article, the senior leaders, again, they're leaving. A big part of the reason they're saying they're leaving is literally they're just saying they're burnt out. 47% of senior level women say they feel as if they must always be on. 54% consistently feel exhausted, and 1 in 4 are considering leaving the workplace or dialing back their careers. I mean, it's a real thing. Personally, for myself, I mean, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I think it goes back to setting the boundaries, just making sure. Like, I talked to this girl who recently had joined over the summer. And she basically said she keeps her hours, she sets them, and she just holds to it. Like, if she's taking lunch from noon to 1, she's taking lunch from noon to 1, and that's it, unless there's some, emergency or like it has to happen this day. But she doesn't make it a common practice to give up her lunch time. And then also setting the hours of when she's done. When she's done, she's done. She's offline. Done. All done. Let me see here. Let's see. Peter Dell says the problem is that corporate companies are like boys' clubs. They forget to realize that everyone has talent and brains. It's all about the stature and fakeness, I think is what you're saying. Yes. Boys' club, 100%. And to my friend who works in IT, that's exactly, that's literally what she was talking about. The boys' club mentality. And like, okay, how do you break through that type of mentality? Because men don't see it typically in the workplace. They're not going to see that there's an issue. It's kind of like, in every culture, like, you're not going to see the issue until maybe someone that looks like you shows it to you. You're seeing hard data for it. You're seeing something that hits close to home. Like, maybe a husband hears their wife going through it, or their mom or their sister, and that brings it, closer to home for them. But if you think about, like, our politicians right now, I'm just going to use this because that's what's happening with this stimulus bill. Okay, well, they've got their money. They've got their mansions, their beach home, their whatever. They're not hurting. They're not living paycheck to paycheck, right? So they don't see the significance of $2,000 or how big a slap in the face is for $600 stimulus when people haven't been working for the past months. They don't see it because they're like, their heads above the clouds. They're away from that reality. They don't see it until they lose their money or their best friend loses their, job, and now they need something. They're not going to see it. And that's been my issue with whenever I would advocate for diversity in the workplace. It's so hard to get a C-suite executive to see the issue that Black and brown people face, that women face in the workplace or trying to get a job because they don't have to see it. They're living their life. They don't have to see it until, I don't know, we're all sitting around and a black man is shot dead for a certain reason that's ridiculous. And now they see it because it's broadcast all over TV, or their clients are now saying, we're not going to work with you. We're taking away our money. And this is why. And so now they're like, oh my gosh, this is hitting home. This is hitting home. That's the issue. You won't see it. So yeah, it's a boys club. I'm kind of getting off topic, but I'm hoping you get my point. For men, unless another man is bringing it to them, they're probably not going to hear it. It's kind of the same scenario. Like if you've ever been at work, you've been in the office and you have this great idea and you bring it up and everyone's just like crickets. Like no one acknowledges this, like, well, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, someone else that does not look like you, maybe in my case, maybe it's a white woman or maybe it's a white man, they bring up that exact same point, but maybe they reword it a little bit. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, that is the best idea ever. That is golden. Like, and you're just like, really? Really? I literally just had that idea 5 minutes ago and you wouldn't acknowledge it. But a part of it is the messenger, because it's someone that looks like them, they're hearing you. So when you were speaking, they weren't hearing you. You have no voice. They don't see you, right? Now, someone that looks like them, they get it. They hear you. They see you. Same thing. Some managers like it though, as far as brown nosing. Yes, unfortunately, some managers do. Some managers don't actually like that, but a lot of time, the said brown noser is a good performer and they know that they can depend on that person to get the job done, to do whatever they need. So, I mean, of course, what are you going to do? If someone was coming to you and saying, oh, I'm going to bring you, I don't know, a cookie every single day because I like you and I want you to like me. I'm going to bring you a cookie every single day. And they do that and you're like, okay, you're going to show that you like it because you like getting the cookie, right? You're like, yeah, this is great for me. I'm getting what I, want. And so I'm going to be nice to this person. Same thing with the managers, whether they like it or not. And managers will be able to tell. They're going to, be accepting of that. They're going to welcome it because they're able to get that work done, right? So yes, but King Akil, some managers, yeah, they eat it up. Let's see here. Peter, companies must take different perspectives and listen to women. Yeah, women's views as women have mental toughness more so than most men. Yes. Okay. A little hand clap for you because yes. On so many levels, like we offer a different perspective and insight that a lot of men don't have. Now, I think that going back to my point from earlier, with having less and less women in the workplace, I think it's going to be a challenge, less and less to see that impact that women have, because when you don't have an advocate in the workplace, it can be harder for you to bring different ideas or, say something that's against the norm or say something outside of groupthink. It can be really tough. So when you don't have someone backing you up, in a sense, you may not say as much as you normally would have, especially in this, time where everyone wants to keep their job, right? You may miss out. A lot of companies may miss out on the opportunity to even hear women. Or, again, to your point, Peter Dell, actually listening. I feel like a lot of times in general, and I've done this too, where you're listening, but you're listening so that you can respond versus listening to actually hear that other person. Or you're listening, but you're thinking about 5 other things. You're not focused and giving that person your full attention. And I feel like especially for men, you have to say like, look, I need you to listen to me. Like I need you to focus on this. I've done this with my brother a couple of times. Like I need you. I need you to focus. He's great. He normally is a great listener. I do this to my mom sometimes too because I know she's looking at TV or listening to. She likes Rush Limbaugh for some reason, but she'll listen to him on the radio, and I'm like, Mom, I need you to listen to me. I really need you to listen to me. And so taking away some of those other distractions so that you hear the person. So I think that's a little bit of what's going on too. Let me see here. Edward Smart says it has to affect the bottom line before incidents are recognized. Yes, 100%. To my point earlier, like with the whole incidents that have happened, it doesn't hit home for someone until it affects something they care about, unless it affects themselves or yes, affects that money, honey. Yeah, you're 100% right. So if we see clients saying like, I want to see women and that's it, like I only want to talk to you, I only want you as a client. If you have X amount of women in your workplace, things will change. Things will change. But I also feel like that answers the hiring question, but the other piece of it is the inclusion. I think this is where a lot of companies miss out. They're hiring people, they know how to hire, and even that sometimes is a challenge, just to hire the right people. But they're hiring folks. Okay, they have them on board, but those people don't feel included. And so at that point, it's harder to retain those folks, whether it's a woman, whether it's a person that's of a diverse background. So now they're still not winning because if it's not an inclusive workplace, well, then those women aren't able to actually state their open opinion, and then they can't offer their real value. So yeah, it's nuts. Hey, Julie, welcome. Nice to see you. Hey, Jazzy TV, welcome. Okay, your thing is doing that same thing. So, Jazzy TV, just a little comment. Anytime I try to make the girl like raise hand or the girl little emojis, I always end up getting the boy. I don't understand why. I think the phones are tripping right now. What's going on with that? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Jazzy TV. Thank you. You're so kind. King Kills commenting about the cookie. My little analogy. I do like cookies. Maybe management is the way to go. Yes, to my point with that. I mean, if you have someone that's like, I am going to do X, Y, and Z for you. I am going to keep this thing moving. I am going to do whatever you need. I mean, from a management standpoint, it's like, yes, I know this person is a brown nose or whatever. They're getting the job done. I'm not going to make that person unhappy. Let's see. Peter says, it should be what each individual brings to the table, and that will benefit the firm, not what sex or statue they are. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think the only way to get folks into a lot of these companies are to, it's hard because I don't like talking about having like a quota, but I think from an inclusion standpoint, I think we should be saying, okay, we should be seeing 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever number needed of qualified women or diverse candidates in this applicant pool. So it's not necessarily that I just need to hire a woman, but we need to make sure we're including top quality candidates that are women. That's what I think needs to happen. That's what needs to continue. And I know some companies are good at doing that. Others, not so much. Oh, Peter, you're so nice. Happy holidays. And best wishes to the new year, 2020. Yes. Hey, North Vikings. I'm well. How are you doing? Hopefully, you're enjoying your nice holiday. Jazzy TV is responding to my comment earlier. IDK, my phone updated, and it's been doing that ever since. I had an update too. So, okay, it's a phone thing. I was wondering, I was just like, am I the only one? Like, is my phone just against me? Can you just let me, have my best emoji life? Let me see. Okay. So, really, I know a couple of folks came in, but essentially, those are, that's what's happening. Those are the groups that are hit. It's the women with kids, it's the senior level women that are saying I'm burnt out, and it is the Black women. Those are the ones that were studied at least by McKinsey and Company as far as the women are leaving. They are saying deuces to the workplace. So let me see. I can't see how long I've actually been on here since I'm on my phone, but I feel like it's been a little bit. But you guys, for those that are just joining, I was definitely talking to myself for a good 15 minutes, I think 10 or 15 minutes, before I realized that the live stream was not live. So if I feel talked out, that is why. It's just because, yeah, I've been talking for a while, and I was just like, oh, because no one was in here, and I was just like, huh, I'm gonna keep on talking. No one's in here, but I'm gonna keep talking. And I was like, wait a minute. And so I looked at it, and since I'm on my phone, I couldn't see everything. And I saw the go live button. I was just like, yep, dumb. But that's okay. I will know for next time when I go live on StreamYard. 70 minutes I have. I have 70 minutes? What? I've been on here for 70 minutes? No way. 70 minutes? Okay, I've been on here for a little minute. So I'll probably wrap this up soon, but I am interested in hearing from you. What do you guys think about, the women that are leaving the workplace right now? Are you yourself, if you're a woman, are you thinking about leaving the workplace? If so, why? Like, why are you looking to leave? Is it just temporary? Or are you looking to just stay home with your kids for a long time? And then for men, do you feel like you're impacted? Do you want, like, if you have a significant other, wife, do you want them to leave the workplace right now? Is there a benefit for you? What do you think about it? Because I know for myself, I don't know. I feel like there's benefits to both. I feel like, for the case that I made about daycare, if you're paying more for daycare than the wife is bringing in, that's just a no-brainer. Like, why? Why are you outsourcing that? Like, just bring it home, take care of the kids, and save some money. Because essentially, unless companies are paying for the daycare, what's the point? I don't understand. Also, guys, if you're wondering what I'm drinking, I'm not drinking my emergency today. I am drinking my ginger lemon tea. I'm kind of weird. I actually don't like sugar or anything in my tea. I just like it natural, and you know, and nothing, no honey, no sugar, no nothing. Let me see here. Oh, hi, Winnie's. Welcome. You're saying hi to everybody. Hey, welcome to the chat. So we're talking about women leaving the workforce. So I just posed a question to the group. My question is, if you're a woman, do you feel like you're wanting to leave the workplace right now? Or do you feel like you're in a place where you want to continue working? Like, what's your thought process about it? And then what do you think about the impact this will have on other women? So the point I made earlier is that, okay, senior leadership, like women in senior leadership, VP level above, they're leaving the workplace. Well, what if you're trying to enter the workplace right now and you're seeing that these leaders are gone and you don't have advocates, you don't have mentorship? And I do think there's a difference with how women mentor and men. I do feel like it's important to have men as mentors. I have men as mentors myself. But I think in the workplace, typically the ones that advocate for you the most are going to be the other women. Now, to the point, I think 2 lives ago, sometimes women can be catty. So you're not every woman is going to be your advocate. I think that's important to say because there's definitely some cattiness, some, competition that happens. But generally, when it comes to senior level women, the women that have made their, impact on the company, they're willing to try to pull up another woman that they see something in them, they're willing to help. So Jazzy says daycare is astronomical. Yes, it's like, I feel like I should have gone into the daycare business. Like, oh my goodness. Um, I would have to have someone else take care of it. I have no interest in taking care of multiple children at the same time. I don't even know if I want one of my own. Like, I just, kids are a lot. I love kids. I do. I love kids, but taking care of multiple kids at the same time, I just don't think that's for me. Don't think it's for me. Let's see. King Akil says, to your point about childcare, there are so many remote jobs, they don't have to leave home. That's true. Um, that's true, but at the same time, with corporate jobs, here's a point they had in an article about burnout. So feeling like it's just too much to manage, So how do I work when I have this kid? Maybe I have 3 kids at home, and 2 are doing the virtual learning, or all of them are doing virtual learning. I don't know. Maybe one is too young to even be in school right now. How are women managing that? And then they're also managing the dynamic of, okay, I'm working home remotely, right? I'm working remotely, but my husband's working remotely. What are we going to do with these kids? These kids are running around, like, what are we going to do with the kids? And so it's either we pay for daycare. Can we even get into the right daycare that we want? What is the daycare doing? Like, what are the standards the daycare has right now? All of these different concerns. How do I manage with this whole stat about the women that are spending 3 hours? I think it's 3 hours total. Let me see what it said. Oh, so they're spending at least 3 hours a day, more than they did before COVID, trying to keep up with this, right? They're trying to keep up with the virtual learning and the household stuff. So how are they managing all of this? Some women are just saying, look, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I got to take care of the husband. I have to take care of these 3 kids running around. I have to help them with their learning. I have to keep them from my conference meetings. They're jumping into my conference calls. They're saying, mommy, mommy, while I'm trying to talk to my business. I'm trying to work and they're running around. I can't focus. These are the concerns the women are having. And then on top of that, I've been in my company for, maybe it's a senior level person, 15, 20, 25 years. And I can't get any rest. They expect me to be on 24/7. I am done. This is what these women are saying. They're saying they're over it. They're saying they're done. Edward Smart is saying, you love kids as long as they're someone else's. You got what I was saying. You got it. Yes, I love kids from a nice distance where I can be like, hey, little kid, they're lovely. I love kids in that sense. But to think about taking care of one of my own 24/7 and having this little human life, no, no thanks. Not now. Maybe in the future. I have done that several times. Simply Pandy says, wait, what have you done multiple times? Have you talked to yourself thinking that you were live? Like I did earlier, Pandy? If so, I don't feel so bad. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I was just like, You know what? I started the day off right. I had a nice little brunch, had some French toast, which I haven't had in a very long time. And then I came back, did some videos that I need to edit, and thought I was live and I thought things were going well. What is a remote job to do? Winnies, I share multiple remote jobs. Oh my gosh, you're in the right place. I share multiple remote jobs. So there are jobs in the customer service space, there are jobs in tech, there's jobs in marketing, creative services. Tell me what you're interested in. I can include that in my next video. I do a weekly video sharing what are the companies or who are the companies hiring right now and which ones are hiring for remote jobs, and I highlight those jobs. I don't always say them all, so you do have to pay attention in the video, but I do highlight all of the companies that are hiring for remote jobs. So there's phone jobs, there's non-phone jobs, there's a lot of remote jobs. There's also side hustles that I share on my channel. So check out some of my other videos, Winnies. I'm sure you will find something there. And I'm trying. I've been doing a good job so far, but I try to post every single week a companies that are hiring videos. So stay on the lookout for that for sure. Let me know, and I'm live now, so let me know if you have questions. Share what industry you're in. I'm happy to help. Winnie's is saying is it hard to find a remote job? It can be hard to find, but you just have to know where to look, and you need to be prepared to show that you can work remotely. And just like any other job, you have to interview for it. So check out some of my videos where I do provide interview tips and resume tips, but you have to prepare. Let me see. I'm in Kuwait. No one like a remote job service. So you're in Kuwait. There are companies that are hiring in multiple companies. I would tell you as a tip, Winnies, focus on global companies that are hiring everywhere. And there are companies like Reddit, for example, where they're saying, we will hire you wherever you are. So there will be more companies doing this, and there are companies doing it right now. Maybe in the US and many scammers online. Winnie's, I have a video coming up talking about how to avoid job scams. You do have to be careful of that. Let me see here. Shelby is saying, hello, welcome, Shelby. I feel like a lot of STEM fields can't be remote outside of more tech type jobs. I'm an engineer manufacturing, yeah, and do not have the option to work remotely, which might be an issue if I had kids. Yes, I thank you for sharing that, Shelby, because that's another point. Because if you're in a space, and going back to this, there were women that said, like, look, I'm putting my safety first, and I'm putting the safety of my family first, so I can't go to work. And I don't have the specific jobs or industries that they were in, but I imagine they were in a similar case to you of like, okay, I have to be on site, which in manufacturing that is it. You will have to be on site. But depending on what company you're working with and how large the company is and what their operations are, you may be able to look for opportunities more easily while you're working with that company that do have the possibility of being remote. Because there are people that have worked as engineers and they have pivoted to other industries. So as an engineer, even with manufacturing, there are companies that are looking to digitalize their factories. And so maybe you could enter into a field like that would be maybe 50% on site and 50% remote. So getting into a more remote type of job. So just something to think about, Shelby. And also, within tech, a lot of times we want to see an engineering degree, but you can get IT certification. So if you're looking to switch into a field where you wanted to work remotely at some point, that could be an option for if there's someone else in the chat or maybe you're watching a replay that's in that same boat. But I get what you're saying. Like if you're in a field where you have to be on site, it is a challenge for sure. And you do have to make the decision of, okay, am I going to go to work and, risk it? If you have kids at home, or even if you have a husband or something. Winnie's is saying it's hard. The job search is hard. I understand you, but Winnie's, I am here to help you. Let me know how I can help. Tasha Society, hey, how are you? Happy Sunday, happy holidays. That happened to me, Jessica. I was talking to myself for 30 minutes. Everyone was writing me, where are you? So for me, Tasha, so that would actually help me if people had been writing me. King Akil, he had written a comment before the live, so that helped me because I was like, okay, well, he said he would be popping in and out, but I don't see anything. But I just assumed, like, okay, it's Sunday, maybe people got stuff to do. It's after holidays, people are playing with their new toys and gifts. I don't know. I was just like, but it is weird. No one's in here. I was like, what is happening? But hey, I was like, I'm gonna keep talking anyway. And so next time I know, just check it and make sure. If it's been 5 minutes, let me just check in here and see if everything's on. I know, Tasha. That's how I felt. I was like, what in the world? Tasha Society says, I love my kids, but I had to find a job that's not at home. I'm going to say, so, oh my gosh, Tasha, I'm so glad you brought that up because that is the other end of it. So for women that do have the kids at home, I mean, I have heard this from women that were on maternity leave and they're like ready to come back to work. Ready. They're like, I'm so sick of being at home because the kids are driving them crazy and they just want something else to do. They don't want to be at home. And, I have my different stance on the whole women being at home. I think if there are some women that are like, I want to be a housewife and that's what they like doing and they like being a homemaker and that's it. I think it's great. I think it's great to have that option, especially when you have kids. I think that's the main caveat. When you have those kids, it's important to have that opportunity to even be able to do that. Now, we have the women that are like, okay, I like my kids, I love my kids and all of that, but I need a break. I need to get away. I need to do something else. I have ambitions. I have things I need to do. I want to do this and this and that. And while I'm at home, I cannot do it. So what is the alternative for them? And sometimes it can be even entrepreneurs where, they have a at home business, but again, you have the kids. Like, how do you juggle the kids? Because a lot of times, well, mom's at home. Well, I'm going to ask mommy and mommy every 5 seconds. I have a friend where she's like, that's literally what she hears all day when she's at home. It's just mommy. Well, how do you do that? Because when you're working, especially if you're working for a corporate business, you can't you just can't have kids climbing all over you during your teleconferences. It's just not, it's cute once or twice, but you got to start managing that, It's tough. Let me see. Have you heard about certain islands that are offering jobs and homes to work there? Yes. I saw a video recently about that and I can't recall exactly. I want to say somewhere in the Caribbean, but yes, you can come there, you can work there. And it sounds like a really nice sell. And also Hawaii. I don't know if Ever is still in here, but Hawaii, I saw like an advertisement or something about working virtually in Hawaii. So even, different states are doing it. Oklahoma was doing it, which I actually, there was something called Tulsa Remote, and it was like they will pay you to just work virtually in Oklahoma. And I actually did the interviews and everything, and they were like, okay, let's take the next step and do this background check. And I started thinking, I was just like, do I really want to live in Oklahoma? It was like right in the midst of the pandemic and everything. And I was just like, even with the pandemic, do I really want to be in Oklahoma? I don't know. I just don't know. So I passed on that, but they were going to pay, I think it was like 10,000 for you through the year to live in Oklahoma. So yeah, there's definitely some cool opportunities out there. I got to start looking those up. If I'm going to do some research, let me put that on my list right now, because if I don't write it down, I may not remember. But I'm going to look into this, and I may make a video if I like what I see, especially if they're willing to, pay some money, because I'm all about that. How can we easily get some extra money to basically just work remotely? It's pretty cool. This is the time of the digital nomad for sure. Simply Pandy says, been talking, thinking I was live. Okay, cool. Well, I'm so glad I'm not the only one that's done that before. Because I was just like, that's never happened to me before. Like, I mean, I've had an instance where I thought I was live, and so I started to greet people, and I was like, oh, I'm not live yet. And then so it was like a minute or two, but never where it's like 10, 15 minutes and I'm like talking, and I was talking, putting out my points and everything. I'm just like, I'm not even on here. Let me see. Tasha says, my friend, she has a business at home. She rented another apartment for her business. She said the kids are breaking her stuff. Oh my goodness, her kids are breaking her stuff. And okay, so for at home based business, that's tough because you have to absorb those costs, right? Well, I guess you could probably write off some things, but I mean, with a company, you can't be like, oh, you guys sent me this computer. Well, my kid just broke it, or my kid just threw some water on it, or something. It's like, no, you can't have those type of incidents happening. It is tough. And again, I see members of my team that are struggling, where they got little girl climbing on them, talking about daddy, daddy. Like, because, men, I'm not completely counting out men here. Men are managing the work home life as well. Sometimes the men and women, they're taking turns, or they're designating space. Like the men takes the basement. I've seen a lot of men have the basement as their office, fortunately. And then the, woman has her office or whatever. But yeah, it's like, what do you do with the kids? And I watch Dave Ramsey, and if you don't know, Dave Ramsey is like a financial expert, heavily on YouTube. Heavily on YouTube. And then what else does he do? He has a book. He talks about, debt-free life. Okay, so he had a caller, this man, he's like 61 years old, and he's saying like, hey, my wife wants me to stay home and take care of the dogs. I'm like, the dogs? What? So you have this lady, she's saying, she's getting an increase in pay. I think her pay was going to be $68,000, and she wants her husband at home. So that's like a totally different scenario. Like, for me personally, I think that's terrible. Like, no, let the man work if he can. 68,000 isn't necessarily the best for two people, but if they determine, whatever. I think what that came down to was, though, he had like health conditions, and he was working on site somewhere, and so she was just, I think, afraid of his health, which I think makes sense. Like, I would probably want the same thing, like, hey, just stay at home, or try to find a stay-at-home job or something. But stay at home and watch the dogs. I mean, it gets to be a lot. You do have to consider like everything you have to do at home. Like, it's a lot because you're spending more time at home. So if you think about it and break it down, okay, well, if everybody's at home, the kids aren't going to school, they're at home. Well, they're breaking stuff in the home. They're making more messes. They're trying to keep themselves entertained. The husband's at home. People are eating more. You got to cook more. There's a lot of demands at home. So I get why women are feeling like, I can't do both. Like, I can't do it. Let me see here. I think it would make for a great video. Oh, the island work opportunities. Yes, for sure. I agree. Great idea, King Akil. You know how some people are about their dogs. Yes. And you guys know I'm in Dallas now. So Dallas kind of reminds me of back home in St. Louis, Missouri, where it was just a dog. it's just a dog town. And people here, I see their dogs in strollers. I see people carrying their dogs. Like it's definitely a dog town. Earlier for brunch, there was two people with their dog. Like there was a couple with their little dog and a bigger dog, and they're fighting, they're barking at each other, and I'm just like, people literally see their dogs as kids, which I've been actually thinking about getting a dog for a while. I keep going back and forth, but a big part for me is just like, okay, well, I'm home, so I might as well. Why not? Let me see. Tasha says, okay, Tasha says men cannot stay home. I see men break down being at home. Some people love the dogs more than their kids. Yes, and I agree with that mentality. And to Dave Ramsey's response to this man was that he needs to work. He needs to have something that he's doing on a day to day. And I definitely agree. I feel like for men, and it could be, due to just the gender norms that we're presented just over the years. But I mean, I think most people have to find something that they can be proud of. And so a lot of times for men, that's going to be work. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that in that instance for that man, he wanted to work, but he was also trying to appease his wife, who was saying, like, you're in a space that's like very dangerous for your health. You need to stay home. I think the better conversation would have been, and my advice to that man is, hey, you work in a dangerous, field and you have health conditions. You can work, maybe lessen your hours if that's possible, and use the additional time to find another opportunity that you can do from home or that's in a safer environment with, different conditions. That could be an option too. So just my thoughts. Thanks, Edward. See you later. See you on my next live, hopefully. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Tasha. I don't know. I feel like there's a small population of men that like to be at home and don't like to do much. But for the average men, they appreciate having a life outside the home, particularly having a work life outside the home. So yeah, it's definitely getting for people. Let me see here. I think I've been on here for a minute now, so I am going to. I said a while ago that I was only going to be on here for a little while longer, but to close this out, especially for my folks watching the replay, consensus is women are leaving. That's the norm. They're leaving voluntarily over involuntarily. So a lot of women are saying and raising their hand, saying, "I'm ready to go because I'm putting my family at risk. I can't do that. I need to take care of these kids at home." We saw, from Tasha's making a great point with the kids being at home. They're breaking stuff. They're getting into my video conferences. They're making it really challenging for me to do my work even from home. And then I don't want to risk my safety. I need to handle the stress of dealing with a pandemic. There's this 24/7, so it feels like I have to be at work all the time, and I just can't do it anymore. So that's pretty much the consensus, again, from this article with McKinsey and Company. If you're interested in reading the article yourself, I have linked it below in the in the video description. You can tell I'm a recruiter because I'm so used to saying job description. But anyway, I'm linking that below, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section too. Do you feel like, as a woman, that you're in the same thinking of like, hey, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I can't, I just can't work and manage home life? Or are you in the percentage of women that are, it says 1 in 4 women are considering leaving their career or downgrading career? Tell me why in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking and why. Would love to hear some insights, especially if you are, a mother, if you're senior leadership, or if you're a Black woman. Those are the 3 buckets that McKinsey and Company was using for this study. So Anyway, I am going to wrap up this live. Thank you guys in the chat for hanging out with me and having this nice discussion. And thank you to StreamYard because I am live and it actually worked on my phone. So, anyway, I appreciate you guys. I will have some new videos coming out this week addressing job topics. So, particularly avoiding job scams, tips for answering different job interview questions, and just trying to get back to that type of content that I originally started with when I got on the channel, because I've been seeing a lot of those questions on Reddit and things. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. Hope you all are having a good holiday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.